I want to start off this video by saying that despite the title of it and the thumbnail, this isn't a raging rant or something to insult the devs of Arrowhead. While I may crash out a little, it won't be blind rage. One more thing I want to add before I start is that I am not a Helldivers player who actively engages with the community on Reddit or really Discord. I'm in the official Discord, but I don't really interact there. I'm just a shy kind of guy, so I don't really do that. I tend to keep to myself, but I enjoy talking to the game or about the game to friends, whether they care or not. But I think it's kind of a telling sign of the state of the game when someone like me who hasn't uploaded to this channel in ages, and as a person who's not even a Helldivers content creator to begin with, so no one knows who I am, is starting to get vocal about the game that they love. And yes, I do love Helldivers, as much as it may not seem like it over the course of this video. So this video will be an average. So basically, this video will be how an average person's thoughts in the community about the game. But so I'll just get started. Also, I wanted to add one more thing. I'm not like a constant player of Helldivers. Like, I have over 400 hours on the game, and I'm like level 118. But yeah, even despite all that, I want to say again, I own literally every warbond. I will not be buying the mech one for obvious reasons. And I mean, there was another point where I quit as well, when the whole like Reddit controversy happened with the not orphanage, what is it called, the charity thing that they did, and they doxed that poor guy. And that was also a point where I just didn't want to play the game because of that reason. I'm not like a super hardcore player who plays like every day, has like 2,000 hours on the game, like most content creators probably would. But I have played a lot of this game, and I think I have like I have a right to vent my frustrations about it, even if I'm not currently playing it like that much. Like, I played it a little bit recently, but it just hasn't really been the same. But regardless, just wanted to add that in for more context as to why I wanted to make the video. But so for those of you who don't know, probably not if you're not active or pay attention to the state of Helldivers, it's been in a stale and unbalanced state for, I'd say personally, about 7 to 8 months. For me, it was after the Into the Unjust update, but obviously we're not gonna get into that. This is like old news. But recently, Arrowhead revealed a warbond for the game called Exo Experts that included the standard you would see in any previous warbond, like weapons, armor, and new stratagems. However, the problem lies within two of the stratagems, which are the two mechs inside of it. And for those who don't know, to get a warbond, you have to spend real money, which is about $10, or take a second job and start grinding for credits on level 1 difficulty, buddy. So obviously this almost immediately sparked discourse and made a lot of the players upset, but not because the mechs costed money or you had to get the warbond to get them. The reason behind it was it meant that adding more mechs to the warbond kind of takes away customization off the table in a future update for the game. And that was the main part of it, but after Arrowhead confirmed that there will be mech buffs coming with the update, it only pretty much made players even more upset, including me, because it seems that, Arrowhead's only pushing out fixes and buffs to weapons or stratagems when, a warbond is themed around them. And to add to this, it's nothing new. They did this with the two previous warbonds, and it's rather they buff the stuff colliding with the warbond, or they sell you a solution to a problem that they pretty much created, and there's like really no in between with them. But so with that knowledge, 2 days ago from the recording of this video, which is April 27th, 2026, the CCO of Arrowhead, Johan, didn't ask me anything on the Helldivers Unfiltered subreddit to, address some of the concerns about the current state of the community. Considering it's been on fire, unlike enemies before Trench Division Warbond.
Your life literally is as valuable as a summer ant.
Sorry, that was a bad joke. The post said, "Hey everyone, feels like there's so much hate, misinformation, and disappointment here. I understand you want Helldivers to be great, and we fall short. So my thinking is, let me hear your thoughts questions and concerns. I may not be able to answer all questions, but I'll try my best. This will be a slow burn as I've got a busy day, but I'll get to your questions in time. So, I won't go over every answer because I'm sure whoever watches this video will probably have already seen the other Helldivers content creators talk about it or already streamed it. I just want to go over some of the answers Johan gave that, kind of irked me in a way. Also, some of the questions themselves won't be on screen, but I'll leave a link to the thread. You can see everything for yourself if you'd like. So we'll just get started from here. Okay, so for this one, you'll be able to see the question, so you guys can just pause it and read it if you want. I won't read it, but I'll just want to focus on the answer. So he says, hey, this is a result of too big a game, too many variables and scenarios and potential outcomes. Really, this is a path we went down in balance before release, where we started balancing weapons not onto a generic core / themselves, but also against individual foes. Helldivers has designed wasn't supposed to be a balanced game, quotations, a la Dota, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft. It was supposed to be an immersive experience with rules that players get to explore, but to get the game into a fun state, we decided to balance the game, and this has continued since and is now the expectation of the community. The unfortunate truth here is that is a way to complex to balance versus the team size and tools we have. Designers are working their asses off, doing their best to achieve that balance. We could hire more, but balance is also a one-man game. The fewer we are, the easier it is, more people don't help. And unfortunately, our QA does not catch these issues, and when they do, they aren't prioritized high enough. We have pushing hard as of late to achieve operational excellence, which means to deliver great builds without bugs on time. We believe this will, in the long run, let us free up time to be better at balancing. I know this answer doesn't address the specifics, and I actually wouldn't know this specific to the teams, and they try their hardest working around the challenging situation that they are in. So I want to focus on 2 points that he says, or 2 of his points that he says in his response, which is, to get the game into a fun state, we late decided to balance the game, and this has continued since and is now the expectation of the community. What I want to know is there no way, like, was this game just not fun before they decided to balance? Like, what was his, like, answer here? I don't understand that. I'm like assuming that everyone at Arrowhead was just on the same page, like, oh, this game's not fun, it's perfect. Like, what are we talking about here? And then, as for, like, the balance, this game is, like, never been balanced. Like, let's be honest here. It's an amazing game, but there's no way in shape or form ever been balanced. And as for the second point, when he says the designers are working their asses off, doing their best to achieve the balance, I'm gonna be just completely 100% honest. That is the biggest fucking lie I've ever heard in my life. There is no way that, with most of these updates, how small they are in comparing to, like, balance in general, there's no way they're working this hard. I swear to God. Like, I feel for the devs, I do. Not everything is, like, a dev's fault. But holy shit, when you say they're working their asses off and give us just mid after mid update, just doesn't seem truthful at all. But regardless, they do work hard. Kind of. But that response just felt so weird to say, like, especially after all that. Like, I don't know, it's so weird. So here's another question. I'll just read this one since it's pretty small. Will we actually see community driven events again, like stratagem rewards for major orders, or is all future content going to be war bonds and stratagems just given to us without build up? So Johan responds, we are working on creating a more interesting dynamic between the community, your actions, and what the GMs do. In a perfect world, we would have an articulated rule set that allows fair play between the enemy forces, and where you guys could surprise us in many ways. We are working on this, and over the next years, you will have more power in the Galactic War. We want to diversify how the game is played, so our worst case is just rinse and repeat. Or, well, worst case is us squandering the love for Helldivers, but, well, I guess second worst. I guess there's an edit. As rightly pointed out, I didn't answer the first question. Basically, yes, there will be rewards for events in the Galactic War. We haven't made any decisions to stop doing it. It just hasn't been a priority. Same as we've done in the past. When? I don't know, since I'm not directly involved with Galactic War planning. I just want to point out one jarring thing about this statement or answer is that he says that they are working towards this over the next years, not months, years, that will have more power in the galactic war. Now, I don't game develop at all, but this seems like such a, I don't know, untruthful answer. Like, I don't think there's any way that Galactic War updates could be that long of a development time, considering what they're already doing now isn't anything to, like, be excited about, besides, when Cyberstan happened. But, and Cyberstan was just, it is what it is. I thought the March of Cyberstan and the Cyberstan world was cool. I liked it. Obviously, there was issues, but I still liked it. It wasn't a bad update. But this just seems, years is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, years is just crazy. Okay, so here's a third one. I guess the question was just about, how come they fix bugs with that, benefit the player and that are fun, but that get patched out really quick. But when it comes to enemies, like the the flesh mob clipping, bugs like that just are annoying to the player itself and not helpful at all. But Johan's response was, hey, most of the time it depends on how easy it is to fix and what availability there is on a specific team / discipline. So the charger leg and exiting ship at evac were much easier than the flesh mob clipping, or it needed a type of skill that was occupied with other tasks. We can do better here to up prio gameplay affecting bugs. Okay, so for this one, I'm not denying that it does take longer for certain bugs to be fixed, but, in this case, I think it's really dumb because, the exiting ship at evac and charger leg thing, yeah, those were patched out literally, like, immediately, as the person who asked the question said. But, and I understand if flesh mobbing, clipping through everything takes longer, but it should have not taken this long to fix it in any way, shape, or form, unless, people who work on bugs in the studio just did not care. Like, there's no way. Like I'm like almost 95% sure that they did not care about this for the longest time. Like, I could be wrong. I could be wrong where they actually did and they were fixing on it, but in my opinion, considering going off basis of other games that I've played in live service, there's no way, like, a clipping issue stays relevant in the game for this long. Months. It's been months since this bug has been alive. It still happens now, even, until this update, which is releasing the Warbond. But regardless, it's crazy how it takes that long. Okay, so for this one, I just want to put on screen, the question itself, because Buzz Lightyear is a prominent creator for Helldivers. I don't think he just does Helldivers. I think he does other stuff too. But I just wanted to put his question up because it's a pretty important one, so you guys can read it. We'll pause it and read it. So the answer to Buzz Lightyear was, hey, this is a great post and question and so much to digest. I first want to address the points that you made about Warbond plus balance fixes. I think this is an unfortunate consequence of when we do a push for a Warbond. We review all the issues associated with balancing. Remember when we did a nerf to fire just in time for the Warbond release with fire-themed weapons? Yeah, that really hit us hard. And we sort of said that because whenever a Warbond is released, we need to ensure that the items in it and the associated mechanics are up to scratch. I mean, yeah, they should always be, but So this then in turn has made us really hone in on the theme of a Warbond. So if we are working on a stealth Warbond, we make sure that we focus testing and balancing on stealth fixes and balancing. In a perfect world, this would be disconnected, but we also have learned that if it doesn't work when it's in the spotlight, it will reasonably so create disappointment. But point taken, and we'll discuss with the team. So to your questions, no, we won't pull the mechs from the Warbond. You can still grind, purchase each Warbond, and we see through the data that most do. Our rule is that we shouldn't have things that are necessary to play in the Warbonds, and are neither of the mechs. And neither of the mechs is. I know we may have slipped up a couple times, and please call it out. I will discuss this with the team and see what approach to take. I think this comes down to solving a core issue rather than limiting what kind of perks and content is released, and ensuring there are ways to play around it. I think this AMA has opened up my eyes, and it was my hope to the grievances that you have. I understand that behind harsh criticism, name calling, and other things, there is frustration stemming from the love of the game and the feeling that it is being mismanaged. The reason why I wanted to do this AMA is that I was so frustrated and that it really hurts seeing a project born out of love for players, creating the belief that we at Arrowhead are more focused on value extraction than on making the best game possible. I think my biggest takeaway here is that there are many valuable points, but since much of it is worded so harshly, there are so many conspiracies, for instance, that the team of 130 plus in Stockholm have abandoned the game. This subreddit is discounted as being too fringe. But engaging with you all, I hope proves that it's just hardcore players with a lot of frustration. Okay, so I want to start off by saying that this pretty much, well, the start of the response pretty much goes back to what I said earlier in the video about how they seem to push out fixes for, you know, stratagems or balances for weapons or quality of life stuff when a new war bond contradicts that. The main thing I want to focus on is the first part to his answer to the question. Is saying that they won't pull out the mechs from the war bond, and that you can still grind to purchase each war bond. Did you guys know you can farm super credits? I didn't know that, guys. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I had no idea you could farm for super credits. It's crazy. I'm surprised I didn't know that. Also, I just want to say one thing about that whole argument about, because like there's been people in the community constantly saying, you know you can just farm super credits, right? It doesn't take that long. And I feel like it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because, like, clearly anyone who says this has got to be, like, 12 years old and does not understand the concept of time and money. Absolutely no one that has a job wants to sit there and farm super credits on a level 1 bug planet for, like, 8 hours. No one. Absolutely no one. And if you do, you're just weird. I don't know what to say to you. Like, do you actually have nothing else better to do? Like, it just doesn't make any sense why people make that argument. Like, it's not even an argument. They're just saying shit. It's not an argument at all. They're just saying you can farm super credits. Like, obviously, you dumb fuck. I know this. Like, it's just common sense at this point. Not everyone does it, though. I don't mind giving my money to Arrowhead when they make good content and are not actively doing what they've been doing for months now. That is where the issue lies within. Also, another point he makes is that says that our rule is that we shouldn't have things that are necessary to play in the war bonds, and neither of the mechs is. And in turn, that is true. However, a new player coming into Helldivers 2 has only 2 war bonds, depending on which edition of the game that they buy. If they buy the digital deluxe edition, that's 2 war bonds that they get pretty much. And after that, it is nothing else. They cannot earn anything for free after that unless they farm super credits. And farming super credits is so boring in this game. Like, I've never seen a more boring way to interact with grinding a premium currency in a video game before. Like, I just have not. But anyways, back to the point of necessary to play in war bonds. Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, that's kind of bullshit. You know, most of the fun stuff and most of the stuff that's in the other war bonds are like the most fun you'll probably have in the game. The first 2 war bonds are a great start when you're a new player, but if you keep going with only those weapons, you're not gonna get much done. I'm gonna be honest. There's not a whole lot to like use past like level like 5 difficulty with those weapons. Maybe even 6. You could probably get away with it with 6, 7. But regardless, 8, 9, 10, you're not getting shit done with any of those weapons. I guarantee it. Unless you're playing bots. Which bots kind of just like are pretty much the easier faction, I'd say. But regardless, that's where it lies. Also, last point about the response. He said, but engaging with you all, I hope proves that it's just hardcore players with a lot of frustration. And I think this statement is also just completely, you know, wrong as well, because it's not just hardcore players that are frustrated with the game. They're probably the majority, but it's not just them. It's also probably Xbox players. I doubt there's a whole lot of Xbox players playing right now. I very much doubt it. And the people on PlayStation who are playing have been playing since the beginning because it came out on there since the beginning. So saying that only hardcore players care about the game is such a weird, or like such a weird way of, you know, just disregarding the rest of the player base. It's just weird. It's just odd. And then for this one, Odo, he's another Helldivers content creator. I don't believe he just does that as well, but I'll leave this question because it's important too. I'll leave it up for a bit so you can pause and read it as well if you want. Anyways, the response to Odo was, hey, this is a great question. There is no one truth to what players want. It's in many millions of individuals with varying expectations on what they want out of the game. If you really drill into it, everyone has nuances or great differences in what they want the game to be. Some appreciate the game for its arcade fun action, and others love it for the challenge. Some love it for the teamwork, and others play it solo. Some love the lore and narrative, others just want to shoot bugs in the face. Helldivers is multifaceted, and in this, therein lies the challenge with satisfying everyone. What's important is how we align the studio in preserving what is the core of Helldivers, but everyone at the studio has a different viewing of this as well. Especially when new team members join the team, how are they onboarded to what the intent of the game is? Helldivers at its core is, and always was during development, a third-person horde shooter with milsim fundamentals. But at a surface level, this seems like a basic horde shooter, but the death comes from a simulated shooter. I mean this with a change of tone and more hardcore balancing. Helldivers could become a contemporary hardcore shooter, but the game stays true to the core, is fundamental in how it is developed. Fundamental? Something like that. But all games slip over time. Looking at You, originally hardcore SWAT game that now has cartoon characters in it. Games do evolve, especially when teams change and grow, and it's up to direction to set the boundaries, which is way more complex when there's 200 people working on the game versus 60. But there's no one right answer here. Whichever way the game expands, some will be less disappointed and others will embrace it. The first point I want to go over is, you know, the part where he says, you know, some appreciate the game for like different reasons, right? And as for the challenge, teamwork, and playing solo, and lore, narrative stuff, and even shoot bugs in the face, I think that all just, you know, combines into one regardless. Like, there's just different playstyles to this game, albeit there's really only two if you think about it, but regardless, this all just coincides with each other. There's not really, you know, one reason that everyone plays this game, or people play this game. And then he says, Helldivers is multifaceted, and then lies the challenge with satisfying everyone. And, you know, I don't want to, like, beat a dead horse here when he himself said, a game for everyone is a game for no one. I know, you keep hearing it, but, like, it's true. Like, he says it, and then he says that lies a challenge with satisfying everyone. That is not making a game for a certain niche of people. That is you trying to make a game for everyone. So these two statements alone just contradict each other so much, and I don't know why all of a sudden that their philosophy changed and is satisfying everyone all of a sudden, but also at the same time, they want to keep milsim aspects. Like, I'll go over that. Like, for example, like, during development, a third-person horde shooter with milsim fundamentals. Buddy, Marathon is more milsim than your game. There is, like, almost zero milsim aspects to Helldivers, and when there is, nobody plays the game for them. I don't know a single person who has played Tarkov or literally any extraction shooter that walked into Helldivers and been like, yeah, this is exactly like Tarkov, or this is exactly like Marathon. Like, what are we talking about? This makes no sense. But yeah, the milsim thing just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't like milsim games to begin with. So, you know, I wouldn't be playing Helldivers if it was not solely milsim, but like if there was a lot of milsim aspects to it, and there's just not. So I keep playing the game because I had fun with it, but you know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I just don't get the conception of where they get that they think their game is a hardcore milsim horde shooter when it's the complete opposite. It's an arcade horde shooter with like the only milsim thing about it is like reload animations or just getting fucked by every enemy in the game. Like, there's just nothing in here that screams milsim to me, or anyone in the player base, I'd say. And the last point is that he says there's not one right answer here. Whichever way the game expands, some will be left disappointed, and others will embrace it. And yeah, that's true, but there's obviously one clear right way to go. Like, it's been clear for like months or even a year now that it's clear where the game needs to go to keep being successful, and it's rather they like slightly lean into it, and then they just pull back like hard when like people start enjoying the game again. Like, it's such a weird thing that they do. It's like when it feels like whenever people are enjoying the game too much and it's not Milsim, they're like, oh no, we gotta bring it back, guys. Like, what is this? It makes no sense. Okay, so for the last one, the question's up here. I won't get into it, obviously, but I'll just pretty much read the, you know... I don't think this was, like, the first one, I'm pretty sure, but I'll let you guys read it. Anyways, he says, regarding balance changes, I don't have detailed information on each weapon. However, the team frequently reviews balance based on usage data, which shows how often different items are used. While we can track this data, it can be challenging to assess the actual power of each weapon due to the numerous situations and variations in gameplay. There's also a difference between the effectiveness of an item and how effective it feels to players. Sometimes we identify outliers in efficiency through our data analysis, and we try to account for those. However, it can be difficult to determine if the reactions are based on personal preference or actual efficiency, especially with items that may be considered fun but not intended to be viable. Additionally, the intense backlash that often follows balance adjustments has created an environment where every change is heavily scrutinized. This leads to hesitance in making adjustments as they might spark controversy. I believe we should be more courageous in making changes, but since the team morale is significantly influenced by community feedback, we proceed with caution. This really made me realize something. I need to investigate how we prioritize balance adjustments. I think there's a way for us to improve this to better align with what the community needs. There's so much information out there and often conflicting opinions on what are outliers on balance, but we should be able to make adjustments based on what is commonly talked about. And so yeah, for this one, I want to go over just basically the first part. Also, there's another part, but mainly the first one as well. So they say that they use usage data and how often different items are used, and while they track it, it's challenging to assess the actual power of each weapon, you know, due to like situations and variations in gameplay. And my thought on it was, you know, this would just be mitigated almost completely if they actually played the video game. Like, you know, the lowest pick weapon, or stratagem I should say, is the sterilizer. So you're telling me that they'll nerf the top weapons in the game because, you know, they're too quote-unquote powerful. But, you know, options like the sterilizer just are left completely alone. Wouldn't like they need to balance the worst stratagem in the game if they're looking at usage data? Because it obviously shows that it's the worst stratagem in the game. And it really is. Like, there's no ifs and buts. It is not a good stratagem at all. It's not. So I don't understand why they'll see high pick rate weapons, and even if they had good performance, they nerf them. But with low powered weapons at the bottom that aren't picked at all, they will never touch for some reason. It just doesn't make any sense to me why he says this, but it just doesn't prove anything in terms of that they balance based on usage data. It doesn't seem like they do. It feels like they only just nerf things that are top meta. They say they don't want to do a meta, but they're forcing it constantly, so it just contradicts each other. But it's just weird. Anyways, regardless, it would literally be fixed if they just played the video game. There's like, seriously, they need to play their own video game, and they just don't. Yeah, but playing their own game, it seems, is just the equivalent of them, you know, trying not to lie about most things that they do. Like, it's like, no, it's just so dumb. And then he goes on to say that they're heavily scrutinized whenever they make a change. And, you know, there's just an easy answer to that. Don't nerf good stuff. Like, I don't understand what's so difficult about them not, you know, understanding that. Like, obviously they get heavily scrutinized when they make the most dog shit fucking change for a weapon that didn't need it. Like, literally, there's been multiple occasions, maybe not multiple, but there's been like one or two occasions where they've nerfed a gun for absolutely no reason. It wasn't even like super powerful. It was just being used in a creative way. I can't think of the gun right now. Maybe I'll find it if later in the video, but I know they've done that before. It isn't like anything new. So I don't understand where they get the idea that for no reason they're heavily scrutinized whenever they make any change, good or bad. There's like it's not black and white. It's just it just doesn't I don't get what they're understanding, what they're not understanding. All right, so I said that last one was like, the final one I wanted to go over, but this is the actual last one. I'll leave the question up again so you guys can read it. Anyways, he says, progression is high up on my list and something that I keep coming back to when talking to the team. Really, my personal priority list would be quality of life, bugs, tweaking, reviewing old stuff, and bringing it up to the standard of newer equipment, progression, more things to spend your resources on, raised level cap, and associated rewards, refresh of the core game, dynamic missions, objectives, new locations, and challenges in core experience, in core experience. Getting around the staleness. Performance is that never-ending chore that keeps on giving. We will never fix performance, but we need to be in a state where it doesn't degrade. There is no deliberate lying. Yeah. Just complexity. The coyote, for instance, was never changed. But its damage is tied to the fire/burning status effect, which was updated, and herein lies a problem. While we said that the coyote wouldn't be changed, the result of tweaking the fire system means that indirectly the coyote was affected, even though the altercation was not intended to hit the coyote. So the question at that point is, do we never change the burning effect balance? I think this also comes to the heart of how perilous it is to say anything, because anything can be brought up later and pointed to, but in reality, development is complex. There is so many desires, wants, requests, constraints, and an infinite amount of data that it's hard to say anything for certain if you're afraid of backlash. Everyone at the studio is here to make a great game enjoyed by millions every month. Okay, so I want to bring up the personal priority list first. He says quality of life is at the top of his priority list. Yeah, we're not seeing that, buddy. I'm gonna be straight up with you. We're not seeing reviewing old stuff. We're not seeing bugs fixed. We're not seeing tweaks on anything. The only tweaks you're doing is just, nerfing stuff. That's the only thing you're doing, man. I don't see any kind of buffs that aren't tied to a war bond. But regardless, move on to the next one, I guess. I'd say, progression being second is, fair. Like, I don't think that's anything to be upset about, to be honest. Refresh of the core game, yeah. I don't... Like, I'd put that at the bottom of the priority list, considering what needs to be changed to make anything else good. So that's also fair. And then, honestly, I don't even want to get into performance because everyone knows their engine is just complete dog shit. Like, there's no if and but. Again, there's no ifs and buts. The engine's not good. Like, there's no way. It's not good. The main thing that's incredibly hilarious about this is that he said there's no deliberate lying, just complexity. The coyote, for instance, was never changed, but its damage is tied to the fire/burning effect. There's been multiple occasions where they've lied and they just, left it at that. They just lied about it. The coyote nerf, that was probably the craziest example I've seen. Honestly, it wasn't until, Johan said something about it, but, another Helldivers content creator made a video about it. His name's Thickfilet. I'll link his channel and the video that he's talking about. But anyways, the video was basically just, the devs were on live stream playing the game, and Nicholas was explaining to the stream that, that he didn't want to nerf the coyote, but it seems like everyone in the studio I don't know if that was explained. I'm just like from memory. I'm thinking that I guess everyone in the studio was not on the same page, but they had to nerf it at some point. So instead of, they said they weren't going to nerf it, but then that they did. So they tweaked the fire damage, but not so much the damage of the gun itself. So they lied about that, and they said that Nicholas literally said that they lied about it on stream. He said on stream that they lied about nerfing the coyote because it was a stealth change when the patch notes came out for when it was nerfed, and nobody found out about it until they actually used the gun. It was not on the patch notes at all, and Thickfilet pointed that out. He's done it multiple times, and Johan said then, at that time, after the stream before the stream, it was something like that. Before the stream, that it was not nerfed, and then Nicholas went on stream and said it was nerfed. So it was just really stupid, and it shouldn't have happened. But you know, the fact that he's still keeping up this lie that the coyote wasn't nerfed is just so funny. It's like he like I don't know if it's him specifically not wanting to own up to it, but if he doesn't want to own up to it, then it seems like the rest of the dev team does not want to own up to it either. They just want to keep it pushing and act like it never happened. But yeah, I'll link Thick Fillet's video in the description if you guys want to watch the like stream part of the clip. In all, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to go over, but I will go over what he said after he ended it. So he said, "Hey everyone, I want to thank all of you all for taking the time to ask questions, challenge me, and share your frustration honestly. I did this with AMA. I did this AMA because I saw the disappointment, criticism, and mistrust in this subreddit, and it got to me. I wanted to get a better sense and understanding of what was at the heart of it. A lot of the points that you make are fair. Some are very painful to read, but I know that it comes from a group of players that care deeply about Helldivers and want it to remain special. So, my takeaways from this as follows. You want the game to deepen, old systems, gear, progression, resources, and the Galactic War need more attention. You want more meaningful reasons to keep playing beyond the next Warbond. You want underused equipment to have purpose, long-term progression to feel worthwhile, and community actions to result in memorable moments again. Furthermore, the concerns that Warbonds can feel like they are moving faster than fixes, polish, and systemic improvements, which is not the intent, but perception matters. Trust is not rebuilt by me saying that, yeah, sometime in the future. It is by action alone. Over time, that clearly says that we are listening and acting in good faith. Action. This week, I will talk to the direction team about how we can align more with the expectations that you have on the development of Helldivers. You want us to communicate better. That means accurate patch notes, transparency around priorities, more accurate known issues, and less reliance on me or someone from Arrowhead randomly jumping in to figure things out like this. When our communication fails, you guys fill in the blanks, and right now, many of those blanks are being filled with mistrust, and that's on us. Action. I will report back once every other week, starting this week, with where we are, what our thoughts are, and how we are moving forward. I can't promise every specific request in this thread. I can't promise instant solutions. Helldivers 2 is a large, complicated game, and some of these issues are genuinely difficult, but that's not an excuse for standing still. There's a lot of work that is in progress and that we will see in the fruits of in the coming weeks, months, and year. This conversation has helped me understand your frustration a lot better. This is not only a demand for more, it is a demand for meaningful changes, higher standards, better maintained systems, and clear communication. And in the end, a game that continues to feel worthy of the passion you, the community, has given it. Thank you to everyone who participated constructively, especially when you were angry. That means you still care, Johan. So despite all of that, that was, not a bad, ender, to be honest. It wasn't, what he's been doing. It doesn't seem like it wasn't meaningful. It did seem like, he was actually serious about this. But regardless, my closing thoughts would probably just be that I still do have hope for this game. And that hopefully, this time Arrowhead, Johan, whoever, actually listens and doesn't, immediately throw away anything that we say in the trash. But regardless, that's just, we'll just have to wait and see. Their actions will speak louder than their words. Right now, it's just words, so we don't have much to go off of. And although, ironically enough, making this video kind of it made me motivated a little bit to make, actual more videos. I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of fun. Just saying my thoughts about, a game that I like, but maybe I'll upload more. I don't know, but I'll see. But that's pretty much anything that I had to say. Some of you won't agree with me, and that's completely fine, but that's pretty much it. Later.